A few months ago, while I still owed around $600, I convinced my parents to put a $1,200 gaming laptop on their credit card. I had no full-time income. I was a college student who slept in class, spent too much time gaming, and had skills I was too lost and too lazy to use. I said I needed it for my degree. That was true. But the moment we got home, I installed Valorant, GTA 5, Call of Duty, and every AAA game I could think of. Within a month, I was cutting hair after class, eating as little as possible, and working until I got sick, all to pay for a laptop I barely had time to open. So why would I make my life harder when I was already drowning in debt? And was this the purchase that could force me to leave college, or the decision that changed where my life was headed? The answer begins with a few dollars, and the first time money made me feel visible. This started about a year earlier. I did not come from a rich family, and neither did my dad. We were an average family. We ate, slept, went to school or work, came home, and repeated the routine. It was not that I hated school. At that point, it simply was not my priority. At that time, I was broke. I did not really have anyone to hang out with, and I was also dealing with a difficult home environment. There was nowhere I felt I could run to, and nobody I trusted enough to tell how much I was hurting. I want to be fair to my family. They loved me, and I loved them. But the way problems were handled in our home could be painful and toxic. I had learned some of those same behaviors, so instead of asking for help, I kept everything inside. That loneliness made quick relief feel very tempting. Here in the Philippines, online gambling is incredibly easy to access. I started with only a small amount, just part of the pocket money I had. Then I won around $350. For a broke student, that amount felt life-changing. I bought something nice for my family. People suddenly wanted to be around me, and after feeling invisible for so long, being noticed felt good. That first win did more than give me money. It gave me the feeling that I had finally found a way out. I told myself, maybe gambling is not so bad after all. Then I bet the money that remained because I wanted to make it grow. And I lost it, all of it. At first, I called it bad luck. I thought that because I had already won a large amount from very little money, I could simply do it again. So, over the next few weeks, I kept trying. I lost again. When my own money was gone, I should have stopped. Instead, I discovered how easy it was to borrow money through online loan apps. The first amount was only about 1,000 pesos, roughly $16. It looked small, and repayment felt like a problem for another day. But 1,000 became several thousand. One app became another. Every new loan was supposed to recover the previous loss. Eventually, I reached the limits. The money was gone, the winnings were gone. Only the debt remained. By the time the damage became real to me, I owed around $600, an enormous amount for me as a student. I started selling the things I loved just to make payments: my phone, my laptops, and my watches. I cried because I knew I had created the problem myself. I was already struggling before gambling, but now the hole was much deeper. And because I was afraid of how the truth would be received at home, I kept hiding it. That was one of the worst parts. I was surrounded by people, but I felt completely alone. Now we can return to the decision that probably makes no sense. While carrying that debt, I asked my parents to help me buy a gaming laptop. I told them I needed it for school and my degree, which was true. But I also wanted what I had dreamed about since I was younger: a machine powerful enough to play the games I had always wanted. I begged them. Eventually, they agreed to put it on their credit card as a straight purchase so there would be no installment interest. The laptop was an MSI Katana 15HX, and it cost around $1,200. It was one of the best options I could find here, although it would probably be cheaper in the United States. When we got home, I immediately downloaded Valorant, GTA 5, Call of Duty, and almost every demanding game I could think of. For a few days, I finally had the relief I thought I wanted. But relief bought with money you cannot afford has an expiration date. Every time I looked at the laptop, I also saw its price. I was paying old debts, and now another huge amount was sitting on my desk. I had to earn money quickly. I tried every honest job I could think of. One of them was cutting hair for around $3 per person. After a full day at school, I would cut the hair of 2 or 3 people. I ate as little as I could and saved what remained from my weekly allowance. Everything I could spare went toward the laptop and the debts. After a month of doing that, I managed to make a payment. And what did I get in return? I got the flu and spent about a week unable to do much because my whole body ached from exhaustion. I had been studying and working day and night with almost no rest. The irony was painful. I had bought the laptop because I wanted relief, but I was too busy and too tired to use it. I started asking myself, at what cost? How much did I have to sacrifice for something that was supposed to make me happy? Was this going to be my life? Overwork, sickness, another payment, and then the same cycle again? I began searching for another way to earn. I will be honest, I was tempted to gamble again because part of me still wanted a fast solution. Then I looked at myself in the mirror. I looked exhausted, as if I had aged 5 years. I could not keep returning to the same thing that had caused the problem. One day, I found a Reddit post about earning money online. With very little hope left, I installed Upwork and applied for whatever work I thought I could do. I applied to a bunch of open jobs. Then I found a job that said, upload 150 photos of your dog with metadata. The payment was $30. $30 was a lot to me, and I already had many photos of my dog, so I took it. There was one problem. I could only provide 100 to 25 photos. I was 25 short. When I submitted them, I told the client they could pay me $25 instead of $30 because I had only completed 125 out of 150. I expected them to reduce the payment or possibly reject the work. Instead, the client told me they would pay the full amount. They said I was being too humble. That $30 did not erase my debt, but emotionally, it was worth far more. For the first time, the laptop was not only something I had bought to escape my life. It was a tool I could use to change it. That small job showed me my skills could earn money if I was willing to show them. So I kept going, from one job to another, learning as I went. Little by little, I managed to pay my debts and pay for the laptop, while still keeping enough for some of my needs and wants. So, was buying the laptop the greatest decision I have ever made? For me, yes. But not because buying a $1,200 laptop while owing $600 was financially smart. It was reckless, and it could have ended very badly. Please do not take this as advice to borrow money for an expensive laptop and hope it works out. What made it valuable was what happened afterward. I stopped treating the laptop only as an escape and used it as a tool. It forced me to face what I had done, find a way to earn, and prove I was not permanently trapped by my worst choices. The laptop did not magically save me. I had to decide what it would become. If you have messed up your life, that does not mean it is over. Admit what happened, stop digging, and begin fixing it one small payment, or one small job, at a time. A man's hardest opponent can be himself. And when life feels impossibly tight, be like water. Water does not need the whole wall to disappear. It finds one small opening and keeps moving until it gets through. You only truly fail when you stop trying. If you stayed until the end, maybe part of this story felt familiar to you. Tell me what you think in the comments. I will try to respond to everyone.